thing that's important for them is that this is about human rights. And it is the only cross that truly is there to make sure that human rights are protected. That's why I call them early revolutionaries. This is somebody who sees the first factory being built, in southern England, 400 years ago and says, oh, the workers are going to be enslaved. It doesn't wait till Marx, It's way, way ahead of the time. And if you look back historically and you look for this cross, you're going to find extraordinary figures. You're going to find the kind of figures that history forgets. They're the ones that put something in very fixed, but because they're very fixed, easily broken. And because they're ahead of their time, they tend to disappear and they're gone from the map. That movement from that fixed aspect is that you step into the left angle cross of revolution. This is pure revolution. Now, the only thing that is uncomfortable about this revolution is that this revolution is about money. And when I say it's about money, it's about they don't deserve to have that. Let's kill the sons of bitches and share it. It is the basis of revolution, after all. Now, this is practical revolution when it's in the fifth line. So, in other words, this is simply a very practical thing. Look, they're greedy as hell. They're not going to share with us. They hate us. They're enslaving us. We cannot reason with them. It does not work. The only practical thing we can do is kill them. And if we kill them, then we can have a practical way in which we can share everything. Human beings and their spiritual trip always sort of tickles me in funny places. You see, we're a living thing. I never forget the endless world wars that go on in my body every second as I breathe. The violence inherent in my biology is unbelievable. Take a ride with a T-cell. Watch some real havoc. This is a violent existence. It just is. We are designed to kill. We are. And we will be designed to kill until we leave these bodies. And there is nothing that's going to get rid of that. Nothing. Nothing. Otherwise, we wouldn't be at the top of the food chain. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in charge. And there is nothing you can do about it. You cannot civilize that. You'll see what happens when we take this cross over to civilization. Where we try to civilize it. Moses comes down and says, "Thou shalt not kill." Hey, cool. You're designed to kill, right? But you can't. You're not allowed. Don't do that. It's wrong. Civilization comes along and says, look, we all got to live together in this neighborhood. And it's kind of funny if you're killing somebody next door, We got to have some rules here. Let's find a place where they can kill and it doesn't disturb us, Let them kill those people over there in the next valley. That's okay. That might even be practical. You see, again, we're at the beginning of the story. Remember, I'm going to take you through the whole story, so don't get nervous. But we're at the beginning of the story. And you see, we've got to have that. So right at the beginning, we've got this trip that's just embedded in us. We got to go out there and kill them. And we have to somehow find a way to make that okay, to sanctify that. Now, if you listen to a 49.5, by the way, I'm a 49.5, but it's not my cross. If you listen to a 49.5, you're listening to a powerful potential revolutionary. I'm here to seduce you into revolution. I'm here to seduce you to these principles. It is a very powerful force. And remember, all fifth lines draw projection. You expect me to be able to teach you this. I don't know if I can. But you expect that. That's your projection on me. If I manage to get through these 4 days and survive it, you'll all say, gee, that was great, wasn't it? If I blow it, the fifth line crumbles. So this is a fifth line revolution. It's the fifth line revolution that says, look, it's very, very practical. This is what we're going to do. We're going to eliminate all the private farms and we're going to put you on one huge, massive farm the size of Europe. And we're going to end up growing more than we've ever imagined. Sounds practical. Devastating. Oh, and by the way, in order to get all those farms, we're going to kill all the former owners, okay? I mean, we have to do that. It's practical, all right? We get them out of the way and then we can sort of just make this big farm. That's what they do. That's what they've always done. And you can't get rid of them. Sometimes we turn them into heroes. Sometimes we turn them into villains. See, after all, if they deliver, they're always heroes. As long as they fulfill the projection of those that are following that principle, they're always going to be heroes. The next thing about that is, it's not just about establishing a new principle and a revolution, it's about benefiting from it. There's no sense having a revolution if you're not going to benefit from it. Now, one of the oldest things that exists in the way in which humans have dealt with each other is that you go in and you attack the tribe in the next valley and you kill all the males and you screw all the females and you drag them home. I mean, that's part of what goes on. And you see, this is the way in which we learn from each other. Isn't that funny? Can you imagine that? I mean, think about that. That's the way history has worked, eh? One tribe conquers the next tribe. They bring their gods, they bring their furniture, they bring their stuff. And then the ones that they conquered, they've got gods, they've got furniture, they've got stuff. And slowly those things come together, and out of that, you've got something new that emerges out of that. It's the way that it works. So you see, basically, we're designed to go to the next village and kill and rape. What to do, right? Isn't that funny, eh? And you got all these people saying, hey, that's all bad stuff, we can't do that. It's hilarious to me. Yeah, sure, you'll see, we have ways in which we try to deal with all of that. But you have to understand the people who come in on that cross, that's what they're here for. I mean, that's what they're here for. See, I know right now in this world, when you've got 3 billion people that go to bed hungry, you've got all kinds of killing that's waiting to happen. And just will. Because it's all about food. It's all about food. The 49th gate says you must have what you need to eat. We as a community must have what we need to eat. And if we don't have what we need to eat, we will go to war to get it. Because that's what we are. We're animals, after all. The veneer and the patina of civilization on humanity is like so thin. And it's so recent. And everybody's running around with their morality trip instead of understanding that all of these things have their place. They do. But in a world in which human beings are not properly fed, you can't run around crying for peace. You got to run around crying for organization. We've got enough food to feed everybody. That's never the problem. It's about material. You see, one of the strongest themes at the beginning of the story of what it is to be in this global program is that we must band together to survive. It was not easy for humans in the beginning to compete in the world. We really had to develop communal skills, and communal skills that were rooted in violence and protection. We had to. You don't just get rid of that. You don't sit down in some marble building and write a law that says you can't do this and you can't do that, because I will show you that everything is here. You can't legislate that. We're a totality. Every single aspect of life is here. And there are human beings who are carrying them as archetypes. The 6th line of the 49. The 6th line has to make an enormous jump in the 49. When the 49-6 comes off the roof, It has to come off the roof with principles in which it can provide for itself. And that the principles that allow it to provide for itself are principles that can open up for others. However, the moment that it has that, and the moment it steps down off of the roof, what does it meet? Desire. I love the way the program works. You see, you look back, you get nervous. You look forward, you sharpen your swords. And then, desire. You see, human beings, we're so helpless in the way in which we're driven. You have no idea, how powerful the whip is and the carrot is that is in front of you that is whipping you along. And it begins with the 30th gate, and it begins with the right angle cross of contagion. When the voice described to me the change that will come at the end of this form, it talked about how the only stream out of the emotional system that will not experience the mutation of becoming aware is the stream that starts in the 41 and ends in the 35. That is, this is the stream of feelings, and this stream of feelings is the human experiential way. Logically, in that context, the human experiential way will disappear because the human form will go with it. But it's something so important to understand about the nature of this stream is that it is not capable of awareness. And it is that not capable of awareness that leads to the potential of all experience. Fools do rush in. Oh, yes, and desire makes fools out of all of us. And in the beginning was the sound, but it was a wolf's whistle. Desire really gets to you, eh? So when you come to this cross of contagion, you've got this incredible desire that says, yeah, we can kill the bear, but what about the elephant? Let's get the elephant. Oh, I'd love the elephant. It starts a whole process of saying, well, there's more. There's got to be more. Now that we're able to control the tribe in the next valley, maybe there's another valley. Maybe there's more. I don't want to eat these berries. Maybe there's more. And the desire leads to expectation. So this is the beginning of the human expectation process. Now look, without this 30th gate of desire, we wouldn't be here. Oh, it's so important. It moves us in such a profound way. Because you see, what desire does is it says, there isn't anything out there that we cannot try. Remember, it's collective. So think about the beginning of healing. If you don't have somebody who's got this stream or aspects in this stream, you're never going to figure out what works. There's two of you walking along in a field.